Oh, not you again. Well, since you're here, why don't we take a look at the really quick solo queue family guide. First up, Grandpa perks. The only S tier Grandpa perk in the game is exterior alarms. If you equip something else while somebody else has exterior alarms equipped, or you have access to exterior alarms and you equip something else instead, you are throwing. If nobody has exterior alarms, then equip whatever you want, it doesn't matter. Team composition. If you see the enemy team has Danny, you probably need to make sure your team has a Hands. Hands is basically sort of the Band-Aid fix DLC to the pay-to-win DLC of previous. He's also really good at just stopping and shutting down Rush in general. If you don't have Hands, then you're going to have to make sure that you find Danny and then just tunnel him out at your earliest convenience. Which just brings us to solo queue strategies. In the solo queue, you're not going to have access to as much communication. If you've played much solo queue family, you know what the communication is like. It is often 0, which means running a build with a lot of kill power. After you have your lethal build in place, make sure you have a lethal strategy. In other words, make sure that you're always in a position to do damage. Let's take Cook, for example, and say you're on Family House. You would not want to stand in the back of Family House toward like where Gore Room is and try to monitor doors from there, because victims are going to have a head start in running away from you toward the well. Now, again, if you're not in solo queue and you're coordinating with teammates to like force them into a cutoff or some fancy tactic, sure, do the fancy tactic. But in solo queue, where you don't have communication, you want to position yourself between escapes so that the victims have to go through you, ensuring that you'll at least get a couple of hits. Also, don't stand in a doorway where you can get door slammed. Let's use Johnny as another example. You want to do your patrol routes with Johnny in a way so that when you do run into a victim, you're going to be in a position where you can run them down and do some damage, if not just outright kill them because of where you found them. You don't want to patrol in areas so that when you run into a victim, they can immediately just run through a gap and lose you. Make sure that you're setting things up so that your lethal build is going to get to be lethal. And lastly, try to have more than one family member you are willing to play, because there are just some locations that some family members are not very good at. Which brings us to the final conclusion, and that's that most of the perks in TCM are just not very good. You are going to be stuck on some sort of a meta build because all of the other perks are so bad that they essentially don't function. So find your character, find a meta build for that character. If you're lucky, your character might have like 2 available meta builds, and you can pick the one that more suits your playstyle. If you're unlucky, your character probably only has 1 meta build, but either way, you are going to have to use those until they do something to fix whatever this excuse for a skill tree is. That's going to be it for this one. Like I said, short and quick and to the point. I hope it helps. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one.